Hey, everybody. Welcome back to She Ventures Out, the podcast where we explore what it means to live boldly, embrace growth, and create the life you've always imagined. I'm your host, Kiana Williams, executive coach, author, and navigator of life's many transitions. And I'm really excited about today's show because today we are diving into what I think is a game-changing topic. And that topic is how to stop chasing and start attracting the life you want. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're sprinting toward your goals only to realize that the finish line keeps moving further and further away from your goals? So the more you run, the more elusive those dreams seem. And if you have, let me tell you, I have been there. I mean, pushing and pushing, hustling and hustling, grinding and grinding. But it's almost as if doing all of that keeps the results out of reach, right? Like you're almost feeling like you're on this hamster wheel. And for some reason, you feel like you got to keep running, but all that running isn't necessarily producing the thing that you want. You might have even started wondering, like, is something wrong with me? Am I ever going to catch up with that goal, that dream, that vision that I had? And here's the truth. It might not be about working harder or putting in more hours, right? I think, all of us at some point in time have at least in the back of our minds, had that realization, right? That working harder, killing it like 20 hours a day for somebody else, like is not the thing that is going to allow us to live our best life. Sometimes what it really is about is shifting our entire approach. Like it's about learning to allow the good things that we desire to come into our lives instead of chasing them down like this moving target. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to unpack the difference between chasing and attracting. We're going to explore why this chase mentality can drain our energy and our confidence, and how having an attraction mindset can realign our focus, our hearts, and even our habits to bring what we truly want into our reality. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially, with all of this conversation around, change in administration, policies and practices that don't align to what, many of us believe to be fundamental to, who we believe, the country is supposed to be. And in particular, like this move away from DEI. And I feel like, I've heard or seen a lot of people start to speak from this mentality of scarcity, right? Like this feeling that that we can't overcome, right? That we can't, have this experience that we believe that we should and that, we desire and that we deserve. And what it got me to thinking about is just the power of the words that we speak, the power of the thoughts that we hold, and how we have to, especially in times like this, ensure that we are speaking life into our own situation, into the life of those around us, that we are keeping our thoughts on things above, especially in moments like this, right? And that those things don't negate us from not liking, what is happening all around us, but, ask for what we will take in to our spirit and to our mind, and ask for what we will speak on and talk about. We have to choose something different. We have to choose the things that are going to attract and manifest the things that we believe, that we want, that we desire, versus affirming the things that we don't like, we don't desire, we don't want to continue to multiply. So I'm really going to try to focus on some practical tools today that we can all start using to shift to that state of allowing, to bringing those things in again that we desire, and frankly, repelling those things that we don't. So I want you to grab your journal, your favorite note-taking app, or whatever you use to take notes. Of course, only if you're not driving right now. If you are driving, bookmark this and come back to it. And let's get into it. So the first thing that I want us to remember is that you don't have to hustle for what already has your name on it. The first step to attracting is believing that you are worthy of everything that you want. And I know that, sometimes we think that we are believing that, but when we get underneath it, like when we start to peel back the onion, the proverbial onion, right, we see that we don't truly believe that we're worthy, right? We don't truly believe that big, kind of audacious, bold dream that we have for our life. We don't truly believe that we are worthy of that. And then we wonder why all of our hustling, all of the work that we're doing, all of the whatever isn't allowing that thing to materialize. And so the first step to attracting is believing you are worthy of what you want. Okay, so that's where we're going to start. So what I want to start with is this idea of the chase. And when I think about chasing, right, I often think of it around like running at full speed, right? I told y'all, my daughter's a track star. I love track and field, right? And so that's the visual I get, right? I get this visual of us running at full speed, convinced that if you slow down for even a second, opportunity is going to pass you by. And as so much of what we talk about, right, that mentality is deeply rooted in fear of missing out, fear of not being good enough, fear of wasting time, or fear of falling behind everyone else. And when we get to a place where we are constantly chasing, the way that it can manifest is overcommitting. So, saying yes to every project or event, even when you're exhausted. It can manifest in constant busyness. So filling every moment of the day with what you consider a productive task. It can manifest in comparison. So obsessively measuring your progress against someone else's timeline, right? Not knowing, what it takes to get them out of bed every single day or, how they got to where they are. But you are insistent upon measuring where you are to where they are. And then the fourth way that it can manifest is perfectionism. So like relentlessly trying to perfect every detail for fear that you're going to fail or you're going to be judged. And the problem with chasing is that it costs you, right? It drains you physically and emotionally, and it's just a energy suck, right? And it can also erode your self-confidence because you end up feeling like no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. And it's not just us feeling this, right? Like there is research that shows that burnout doesn't just impact your productivity, right? It also diminishes your creativity and blurs your vision, right? Like your big vision. And when you're stuck in survival mode, like when you're running in these circles and, feeling like you're getting nowhere, you might not even see the open door right in front of you, right? I mean, just get that visual, right? You're running so fast, right, that your vision is blurred, right? Because you're running that fast that you don't even see where opportunity exists, right? Because you are doing that running. And you get too busy trying to kick down a door that's locked that you don't even see the door that's open right in front of you, right? That's that blurry vision that I'm talking about. There's this great book that I've been, reading. So I think I might have mentioned that I'm doing 75 medium because 75 hard just does not support my quest for the soft life. But I wanted to be a little challenged, so I'm doing 75 medium. And one of the things in 75 medium, I think it's part of 75 hard too, is that you read 10 pages a day of a nonfiction book. And the book that I chose is Manifest Now by Adil Ahmed. And in the book, she has this really good quote. Let me see if I can find it. She says, when you force something that isn't for you, you create blockages. True alignment flows effortlessly. And that's what I'm talking about. So if you're forcing everything, right, your career, your relationships, your health habits, you might be ignoring the pathways that are already opening for you, right? So, I mean, just imagine you are singularly focused on pushing this door open. You got all these doors, these windows open all around you, but because you cannot get unfocused from this door that's right in front of you that you are trying to kick open, you can't get to these other doors. And this other door over here that's open, might have, the Black Knight behind it, just waiting to love you the way that you're desirous of loving. This door over here, that's wide open, might have that, big job that you've been wanting. And this window up here, might have that dream house. But right now you are so singularly focused on this door that you can't get to any of those. And so when I think about the attraction mindset, it's this idea of flipping the script, right? So attraction is the opposite of chasing, right? And it is rooted in an abundance mindset rather than scarcity, right? And that's what I was talking about at the beginning, right? Hearing the language right now feels very much tied to a scarcity mentality. But when we're focused on attraction, it begins with an understanding that what I want is already on its way to me, right? Like, just think about that. What I want is already on its way to me. And so your next question might be, how can I possibly believe that when I haven't seen any evidence yet? And I get it, right? In my soul, I get that. But here's the thing that I know. You cannot attract what you don't believe you deserve. I mean, it's just a fundamental law, right? If there's not something in you that already believes that the thing that you desire is meant for you, is made for you, then you're going to constantly create mountains or whatever in front of you, blockages that keep you from getting that. So this idea is that attraction starts with clarity, right? So knowing exactly what lights you up, what fills you up with purpose, and what resonates at your deepest core. Because when you're clear on your desires, your energy starts to align with them. So instead of running in those circles that we talked about earlier, you're creating almost this magnetic field around what you truly want. So think about it this way, because I think this is a very simple example. So if you want to be healthier, you don't chase a perfect body by punishing yourself with extreme diets or workouts that you hate, right? Like, that's why I said I'm not doing 75 hard, because what I desire and what I believe I deserve is a soft life. And so I'm going to do something instead that aligns with attraction. So I want to attract better health by aligning with habits that feel nourishing, that support my belief that I deserve a soft life. And so I'm going to choose enjoyable, wholesome foods. I'm going to find movement that energizes me. I'm going to prioritize rest, right? I've talked about that a lot here. And then when you do this, right, you naturally become a healthier person. I'm going to become a healthier person because I'm going to be doing things that align with that vision, that align with the thing that I'm trying to attract, that I believe that I'm worthy of, right? So I know it sounds good. Okay, so Kiana, how do we move from chasing to attracting? And what I've grown to learn is that it's really about realigning our energy. So, we think about this in, a relationship sense, right? Desperation repels, but intentionality attracts. Desperation repels, intentionality attracts. And, I want to break this down in kind of 3 different ways that you can start shifting your energy today. So one is this idea of letting go of the need to control everything. And as a, past self-control freak, right? Like I understand the desire to control everything, right? But sometimes we cling so tightly to specific outcomes that we miss out on the flow of life. We want a promotion, so we micromanage every detail of our work. We want a relationship, so we obsess over every message and every date. But that tight grip, right, it actually blocks our possibilities. When we start to relax our grip, we allow space for new opportunities, new collaborations, or new insights to emerge. And I know that we all have examples of this in our own lives, right? Where we can look at times where we held so tightly to something, and holding tightly to that thing did not allow it to emerge in the way that we desired it to or that supported our highest self. And then we also have examples of time, maybe small, maybe big, where we relaxed our need for control, where we, released our tight hold on something. And like water, things flowed the way that they were supposed to. Another person who, writes things that I love is Michael Bernard Beckwith. And, one of the things that he said in his book, Life Visioning, is you're not responsible for seeking the opportunities. You're responsible for aligning your consciousness with them. So in a nutshell, let go of control and let alignment lead the way. The next thing I want us to try is visualization and this idea of acting as if. And so, we've talked about visualization a few times here, but I truly believe it is one of the most powerful tools for attraction. When I think about it, right, it really is about picturing yourself already living the life you desire, whatever that is, right? So, if you want to be, CEO of an organization, if you want to get a big promotion, if you want, to live in your dream house, if you want peace on earth, right? Whatever it is, it starts with holding that vision in your mind and believing that it's possible. And, I know a lot of times when, we talk about visualization, people think that, we're only talking about it in the context of material things. But, I am a firm believer that we can, manifest all the things that we want. And that includes peace and, prosperity in, not just the financial way, but, in a multitude of ways. And, we just have to decide that, that's where we're going to set our intention. That's where we're going to distort our energy. And so, as you're picturing yourself already living the life you desire, think about, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning in this life? What kind of actions are you taking throughout the day? Who is around you? By almost stepping into that vision, right? So, kind of having that out of body experience where you're stepping into that vision, both mentally and emotionally, right? So, connecting to the feelings associated with it, you begin to embody that version of you who already has it. And when I talk about acting as if, I'm not talking about faking it, right? Though I do believe that this idea of faking it till you make it has a place. But what I'm talking about when I say act as if is, I'm talking about feeling it, like connecting to how you will feel when that thing that you desire, comes to fruition, is acting as if. Because what it is it's about allowing your behaviors and your mindset to mirror your future reality. When you do that, what happens is you actually send a signal to your subconscious mind that this outcome is not only possible, but it's already in progress, right? And then what starts to happen is you start to see that thing come to fruition. And, I have countless examples of that throughout my life. And I want to tell you, like, it's important to understand, like, when I say that, I mean that I have examples of when I've done it and brought into reality the thing that I desired, but I've also done it and brought into things that I didn't desire, right? Because I was focused, right, on the wrong thing. And that's why, I started this around this scarcity mentality, right? Of us being really careful and conscious of not allowing our minds to spend too much time on things that don't align to our highest thoughts, that don't align to our highest self. Because when we do, right, we're also bringing those things into existence, and that is not what we want to do. And so the third activity I want you to try is this idea of curating your environment. And so what I mean by that is thinking about the people, the spaces, and the media that you surround yourself with, and knowing that they have a tremendous impact on your mindset and energy, right? They can be uplifting or they can be a drain. And so are you hanging out with people who encourage you, or people who are, sucking, draining you? Is your physical space cluttered or is it calm? Right? Is your social media feed full of inspiration or negativity? I know a lot of times, I'll see people say, I'm taking a break from social media, so on and so forth. And, I wonder if we would need as much of a break if, the things that are in our feed were things that were affirming, were things that were uplifting, were things that spoke to our highest selves versus, some of the shenanigans that, that we see. So, curating your environment is about starting by decluttering your home or your workspace, unfollow or mute social accounts that trigger comparison or negative thinking, and then seek out communities and friendships that uplift you. I mean, your environment should reflect the life you're calling in. And if it doesn't, then you need to start thinking about, what changes do you want to make? Because the life you want isn't running from you, it's waiting for you to slow down and meet it halfway. So, y'all know I'm all about some practical takeaways here on She Ventures Out. So, I want to make this actionable. And so, I'm going to call this the Attraction Toolkit. And it is 5 simple steps that you can start practicing immediately. Right? So, as soon as you get done listening to this episode, I want you to start doing these things. So number 1 is clarify your vision. So I want you to take out your journal and I want you to write down the vision you have for your life. I want you to be crystal clear. I want you to be detailed. I want it to create a picture, right, that anybody who read it would see this picture in their mind of the life you want. And so, for example, like if you find yourself writing something like, I want a better job, I want you to push harder. What kind of job exactly? What are your responsibilities? How does it make you feel? Right? Like, what are you doing every single day? Who's around you? How much money do you make? Right? Like, the key is clarity. Okay. So then after you write your vision, what I want you to do is I want you to start to think about how do you align your habits to that vision that you just wrote. So what that means is breaking your vision into daily or weekly actions. So if your goal is financial freedom, that means you need to set up a budget, you need to open a savings account, you need to try maybe an investment app, whatever is going to do to start to, make that goal, make that vision of financial freedom a reality. If you want more meaningful relationships, maybe what you need to do is practice active listening. You need to plan quality time with people who are important to you. You need to send, messages, thoughtful messages to your friends and family. Think about the small and consistent actions that will lead to these big transformations. Then, number 3, I want you to strengthen your boundaries. And what I mean by this is protecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being is vital. So I want you to get comfortable saying no to things that don't align with your vision, even if it's uncomfortable at first, right? So when you start to feel that discomfort with saying no, I want you to lean into that. Because here's the thing, boundaries are not walls. They are simply guardrails that keep you on your path to your purpose. Okay. So don't think about them as necessarily keeping people out, but think about them as guardrails to ensure that you get to the life that you desire. Then number 4, I want you to practice gratitude. Get you a gratitude journal. I've been, doing this as part of my 75 medium, and I have been vigilant. 5 things every night before I go to bed. Because here's the thing, gratitude shifts our focus from what's missing to what's already present. Every day, jot down at least 3 things you're grateful for. And don't feel like you have to struggle to find something huge, right? Like you can find something small, like a warm cup of coffee in the morning, right? For those who drink coffee. I have the cinnamon tea that I love. It feels like a warm hug. I got it the other day from this French bakery up the street, and I wrote that in my gratitude journal because it feels like a warm hug whenever I get it. Or, put those huge things as well, right? Like when you land that dream job. I already told you I got my coaching certification for the next level from moving from ACC to PCC. I put that in my gratitude journal. That was a big deal to me. Every time. So my journal is a mix of big things, small things, anything that brings a smile to my face, anything that feels like a warm hug, that feels like comfort or whatever is going in my journal. Because remember, gratitude is a magnet for more blessings. And then the last thing I want you to do is to embrace rest. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about pausing. We've been talking about how self-care is not selfish. Rest is not laziness. It is a strategy. When we get into these quiet moments, right, that's often where inspiration arrives. I've told y'all before about, my love for steamy romance. And, I'm on a series right now that is taking me through it. Shout out to Ashley Antoinette because, child, you did your big thing with the ethics series. But what I have noticed is that when I am in a really good novel like that, I have to keep like a notepad or something next to me, because there are all kinds of things that I am inspired by, all kinds of things that come to my mind, right? So when I am just resting and luxuriating in a wonderful book, inspiration always shows up. My personal creativity always flourishes, and clarity always comes. And so that's why I think that pausing and resting is so important. It is key to us living our best lives. So, one of the things that I know is that you'll find that in stillness, you gain the insights needed to attract rather than chase. So, I want to do an interactive activity that I think can truly shift your perspective. So this week, what I want you to do is I want you to journal about one thing you've been chasing. So maybe it's a romantic relationship, maybe it's a promotion, maybe it's a certain income, a dream house, whatever. And I want you to write down why you're chasing it and how the pursuit makes you feel. Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling exhausted? Are you feeling frustrated? And once you've written that down, I want you to rewrite the story, right? And this is a variation of, what we've talked about changing the story that you're telling yourself, right? So I want you to rewrite the story. And I want you to think about how could you attract the goal instead of chasing it? Meaning, what steps could you let go of? What part of your vision do you need to trust the universe, trust God, trust your higher self to handle? And maybe it's about releasing the timeline or letting go of micromanagement. Maybe it's believing with every fiber of your being that you are worthy. Oh goodness, what was that book? After the Rain by Alex L. I gotta find this. She says, let us embrace the discomfort of growth, trusting that each layer we shed is making space for something more aligned. And that's what I think this journaling practice does. It helps you embrace that discomfort. It helps you peel back the layers of fear and welcome in the ease of attraction. So as we start to wrap up, I want to remind you of one powerful truth, and that is that the life you want isn't something you have to chase, right? I said that earlier, and I just want to say it again. The life you want isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow yourself to attract. Because when we chase, we often come from a place of scarcity, fearing we'll never catch up if we don't run at full tilt. But attraction is an act of self-trust and self-love. It says, right, I'm doing my part. I'm aligning my energy, my habits, my mindset, and I trust that what is meant for me is for me. What is meant for me will always find me. What is meant for me is coming my way. Because you don't need to chase the life you want. All you have to do is live with intention, move with clarity, and let the universe do the rest. And, I want to be clear here, right? Because this doesn't mean you stop putting in effort, right? I already told y'all, like, I'm a firm believer in, faith without deeds is dead, right? This is not about becoming complacent. It is actually quite the opposite. It means your efforts are guided by a deeper sense of purpose and a deeper sense of calm. I mean, you're creating a container for good things to flow into you rather than chasing them into the corners they were never meant to occupy. And so as we start to, it's almost about embracing trust and surrender, right? Because we live in a world that prizes the grind, right? That prizes competition, that prizes busyness for the sake of busyness. Slowing down can feel counterintuitive and even scary in a culture that is constantly rewarding the opposite. But in that quiet space, right, where you're not frantically scrolling social media or filling every moment with tasks, that's when you often find the clarity and inspiration you've been looking for. I mean, sometimes life's biggest breakthroughs happen when we stop trying so hard, right? I mean, there are countless examples of people who, talk about finding their person when they finally stopped looking, right? I spent all my time looking and all my time wanting, and then I finally said, you know what, I'm getting off of this, train, and it'll be what it's going to be. And then they say, like, the next day, right, like somebody knocked at their door and it was their person, right? And I'm being a little dramatic, but you get my point, right? It's that idea that when we stop trying so hard, things start to come to fruition. So, it's that idea of kind of taking that deep breath, letting our shoulders drop, and saying, I'm open, I'm listening, and I am ready for this dream to come to fruition however it's supposed to. Right? So it's not giving up on the dream that you have, right? It is giving up on being tightly aligned to how that dream has to come forward. That's when the doors start to open. That's when the right calls come in. That's when the email you were hoping for lands in your inbox. I mean, it seems almost magical, but it really is about the energy that we're putting out there. There's another quote from Alex L. where she says, being at ease with not knowing is a crucial part of the journey to attract what is meant for us. So the practice of surrender, I know it sounds like it, but it's not about giving up, right? It's about making room for our dreams to unfold. And I want you to challenge yourself. And I talked about this in an episode, but I didn't really give it a lot of, like time or energy. I want to challenge you to celebrate yourself more often. Because when we are chasing, we rarely stop to acknowledge our small or our big wins, right? We're too busy focusing on the gap between where we are now and where we want to be. But if we want to be magnetic to our desires, right? If we want to be this conduit for bringing in the life that we want, we need to nurture the energy of gratitude and celebration. Because every time you honor your progress, you raise your vibration. You step into this more confident, more joyful state, one that, it naturally attracts more good things, right? I think it's even true of people, right? Think about the people who you want to spend time with, right? They're the people who are naturally, emitting like joy and goodness, like more of those people, right? Like you want to be around them. And that's the same thing for your own life, right? So when you start celebrating each success, no matter how small, you tell yourself, I recognize my growth. I value who I am grateful for what's already here. Bring on more. I am worthy of more, right? Like that's what that celebratory, joyful posture does. Adil Ahmed said, she said, remember, you are more powerful than you know. Allow yourself to celebrate every part of your journey, especially the parts where you doubted you'd make it through. And, that part, when I read that part really stuck with me. Like, yeah, for sure. So, where do we go from here? I want you to start exactly where you are. I keep telling you, I want you to take a single step, right? Just take one step that aligns with your deepest values and your desires. And maybe that step is making a vision board or reading one of, a recommended book or journaling about what you need to release. Maybe it's as simple as, taking a real lunch break without your phone and savoring the food in front of you, right? Like whatever it is, just do the one thing, because these small actions, they may seem insignificant at first, but they start to compound over time. And as you keep honoring your authentic desires, as you keep respecting your boundaries, as you keep trusting the process, you're going to wake up one day and realize that you've become the person who attracts rather than the one who chases. So if you are ready to dive deeper, I do have a couple books, actually 3 books that I want to recommend. And each of these, for me, offers a unique perspective on this idea. So Life Visioning by Michael Bernard Beckwith. I feel like every time I see Michael, a book, a video or whatever, like I'm always trying to soak it up. I think that, the way that he approaches this topic is so affirming and so genuine. I think that, reading this book will really be transformative. So, Life Visioning by Michael Bernard Beckwith, there's a passage in there where he says, you can start from nothing, and out of no way, a way will be made. I love it. The next one is Manifest Now. I told you about that. Adil Ahmed. I'm, still making my way through it, but, the book gives you really practical ways to attract, to manifest. One of the things I love that she says is manifestation is not about forcing, it's about allowing yourself to receive, align, believe, and let go. And then the third book I'll recommend is After the Rain by Alex L. And, Alex is all over social media, with just profound words of encouragement. And one of the key passages from her book that I love is, we heal and outgrow our past when we learn to love ourselves in the present. So check all 3 of those books out. Let me know what you think, and then let me know if you have some books that you would recommend as well. As always, if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experiences, share your thoughts, breakthroughs, and challenges on social media using the hashtag #SheVenturesOut. Stop chasing, start attracting. Tag me so I can help cheer you on. Your story might inspire someone else who's also ready to shift from running in circles to standing in their power. And here's the thing. Remember, life isn't a race to a finish line. It's an ever-evolving journey of becoming our best selves. And the more you trust yourself, the more you allow yourself to, kind of hold on to that vision of your best self and the unfolding of your path, the more you'll find that the things, the people, the experiences that are meant for you will flow into your life with ease. Thank y'all for joining me today on She Ventures Out. If today resonated, do me a favor, share it with a friend, a colleague, a family member who might need this message. And until next time, keep venturing out, living boldly, and take care of yourself, y'all. See you soon.
Boxland Media. Think big.